Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 164. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for weekly recap newsletter 212. So just a quick summary of things that happened this past week in Star Atlas. The main kind of community event was the Atlas Brew. So I'll kind of go over a few things that came out there. And then in the Foundation Room, reading my notes and got just Michael Wagner, the CEO, gave some updates on some things. And actually there's something on Twitter I don't remember, but I'll open it up and we'll talk about it when we get to that point. So anyways, but before I get to that, just wanted to remind you of things I'm working on in Star Atlas that you can check out. One, of course, is my website, intergalacticherald.com. It's a great Star Atlas resource website with guides, directories, recaps, and I do have a Star Atlas Discord announcement newsfeed. So you can check, again, all that out at intergalacticherald.com. Also have a Star Atlas merch store called intergalacticgear.com. Open for business, limited selection. I'll admit, I kind of just put it on hold. But if you want a Star Atlas mug, definitely check it out. And again, kind of on hold too. But if you're interested in getting together with other Star Atlas gamers, I do have a community I like to form called Intergalactic Coalition. You can check that out at intergalacticcoalition.com. So this past week, like I mentioned, there were three things I wanted to go over. I'm kind of going to do in reverse order when they came out because I haven't clicked on this link to X to figure out what it is. But again, like I mentioned, there was the Atlas Brew. And so they did give some HoloSim updates. One interesting thing, they mentioned there were 500 daily active users. So that's really cool. They also mentioned that they have been running a Reddit advertising campaign, which has brought in 100 users. But they noted that they need to improve the onboarding engagement because a lot of people apparently check it out, but then don't do anything. So I'm not sure if those 100 users are continuing or if there's more. They weren't really, well, they didn't mention that, or I didn't hear. So anyway, so yeah, and then they did mention this new event coming to the HoloSim, which is going to be a quote unquote boss fight, I think involving the Super Phoenix Titan ship. So sounds cool. Most of the Atlas Brew was discussions about HoloSim. And again, if you've been following me for the last couple of weeks, I think this is great. Awesome information. I'm just not playing. So again, it kind of just tune out. So I hate to say that. I mean, it sounds like it's a great game and all this. It's just something I'm not engaged with right now in the Star Atlas ecosystem. So, and then the other thing they did mention that the Sage C4 PTR is progressing well. Internal test, I would assume. So again, they haven't said any sort of announcement on when that will be coming out. So yeah, so that was the Atlas Brew. And so I'm finally clicking on this link to somebody. I didn't write down what. I just put the link. Hopefully this opens up on my computer. Oh, yeah. And I'm remembering. So last week they had pushed a sneak peek in the Foundation Room. Unfortunately, we can't talk about those, so I didn't. But they took that video and actually published it on their Twitter/X account, which was a demo of the C4. So I think, at least recently anyways, this was the first video that has come out in a while, publicly for sure, that kind of went over different things. So it showed kind of the interface and things like that. One thing I think was interesting to me, but not surprising in the end, but again, that the current map, which again kind of has a heart shape or upside down triangle with the three factions, is pretty much the same layout. So I'm assuming, again, big assumption as I'm watching this video, which again, I didn't put a link. Sorry. I don't know. Go to Star Atlas Twitter account and what date was it? Does it have a date? April 3rd. It was posted on April 3rd. But anyways, I would assume that since it's the same relative shape, that the bigger dots are the current star bases. And then when you go into, I can't remember if they're calling them regions now or what, they'll have more systems and stars and planets and things like that. So that was, I think, one of my biggest takeaways, that just, this is familiar feeling. The rest of the video kind of goes through managing different things and jobs and stuff like that. So yeah, highly recommend checking that out. Sorry, I didn't put a link in my email newsletter, but yeah, the links to Twitter aren't that good. But anyways, yeah, so that was very cool that they finally released that. Noting as I'm reading this, they're calling it Sage as an RTS MMO in browser. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, cool. So anyway, so that was that. Again, it just wasn't public, so anyways. So the last one is going to be a couple of comments on Michael Wagner putting the foundation room to a couple of questions from Star Atlas community members. I actually kind of move ahead to kind of the different section I go through, typically kind of my thinking on the state of Star Atlas this past week. So I'll just read those and then kind of comment on that and then end up with a few other thoughts. So one was post, they were asking if the airdrop for the Zinc distribution, I'll just read it as is, sorry, is airdrop Zinc distribution plan before the release of PTR C4? And Michael Wagner replies back, no, we should have C4 mainnet, Zinc Genesis, and conclusion of the Origin season all at the same time. So that's cool to get kind of an update, even though it kind of feels like what we always were thinking, but I guess not. So, but I think the connecting the dots. So there was asked, is the Zinc distribution plan before the release of C4? So no. So Zinc distribution will be after C4. So, PTR C4. So as of now, I think we can think of the next big thing that isn't Holosim Chapter 3 or whatever is the PTR C4. Then that'll go on for an indeterminate amount of time. Then, at the same time, according to Michael Wagner, the C4 mainnet, which of course has to run on Zinc, which requires the Zinc Genesis, which is the actual Zinc. Whatever we're doing now is Zinc, but not Zinc. I can't remember how exactly. But anyways, and then the conclusion, the Origin season, which again is what we're doing now. So the one that he doesn't respond is the distribution plan. So if I remember correctly, the end of the Origin season is a distribution because that's what we've been kind of accumulating all our things, and then that's part of the Genesis event. If again, I'm putting memories to serve. But anyways, so one thing that does kind of point to is that everything has to come at the same time because again, C4 is mainnet, at least is on Zinc. That'll drop all the transaction fees off of Solana. Of course, we have to move to C4 from current Sage, which again, whatever I think has been stated in the past, take with a grain of salt because again, we'll see what it is. But again, you have to move stuff, whether we have to physically move stuff or not, or transaction move stuff. I mean, things are different. I would assume there's no old Sage that does anything similar to what's happened in the past. So anyway, I thought that was a really good update to get that. Yeah, everything is sort of kind of like what has been said, but yeah, now everything's kind of coming to this critical junction where everything is really tied together. So then I'm not sure if it was later in the day or next day whenever I screen capped this. So somebody else said, where does that put the Zinc airdrop roughly? Q3, Q4. So Michael Wagner replies back, hopefully within Q2. And then he adds, I'll stress again, though, the airdrop is going to come with pretty significant vesting timelines to receive the full amount, slashing from early claim with the balance rolling into the pool of people who chose to vest longer. I think it's probably distribution 5% up front and 95% over 6 months. So let's break that down into two. So Zinc airdrop, when? Answer was hopefully within Q2. Okay, so Q2, at least how I always interpret quarters, is second quarter. So that would be April, May, June. And again, just started April. And then he jumps into this thing about the airdrop. So, again, that I can't remember about vesting and all this other stuff. So again, it's a classic crypto blockchain coin airdrop thing because Zinc is completely new. So that it wasn't as, it's insightful, but we'll figure it out. There's so many distribute, vesting, too many things to figure out at too early of a point. But if the airdrop, which again, partly going back to the other question, is when is the airdrop occurring? And it was when everything comes out. So that states in their goal is to come out with everything in quarter two. But again, it's already April, so we haven't even had the public testing yet. So yeah, anyways, but having said all of that, it's nice to get some updates. yeah, it's just nice to get some updates. So yeah, so that's pretty much it there on that. So I do makes you wonder when C4PTR will come out. And again, the last we kind of heard from an Atlas Brew a few weeks back was they were doing an internal test. It was going well, but that was before, well, the person that said that is no longer an employee because of layoffs. So gotta believe that the latest round of layoffs has affected the internal testing. So yeah, we don't know a lot, but again, things feel like they're moving forward. And again, they did say it's progressing well, but again, we don't have it, but we could get the video. And so we're seeing for the first time some of the visuals on how it is. And again, it looks playable. So, I mean, again, I would assume their internal test is playing it, not building it anymore. So anyway, so excuse me. So I think again, we'll see that. So I guess to kind of round up, kind of my thoughts on this, where we are this past week in StarOS. We're definitely getting less information, but again, I think that has to be put into context of less people. I mean, again, there is no official community team. Jose is doing a great job. The Holosym person's doing a great job, but again, they're focused on their tools. That's fine. We, I don't know who's leading C4 development. Again, we lost the UE5 guy, community team. That's fine. You can't expect. What we're getting is totally directly a result of resources within the company. So, and if nothing else, I have to not be too whatever, because in years past, definitely there was more hype about upcoming announcements, and there's nothing now other than the joke, announcement of announcement. So again, I think it's just, well, bluntly, it's just tough. C4, now you see a video, looks pretty cool, and then, other than the video, nothing else. But again, I get it. I'm not at all trying to be critical. It's just, I would like to know more. But again, Q2 goal, not release date. But again, a month from now, things could be completely different. So, but having said all of that, if the PTR hasn't come out and you haven't got any community involvement, again, I don't know if there's any community testers involved, or is strictly an internal thing. If things are found, those should need to be addressed. Obviously, to use Holosym as an example, the first one was good, a rollout. The second one was terrible. The infrastructure dropped down. And then, like they said, the Atlas Brew, this one's going a lot better. So, but rolling out a new blockchain, actual tokens, you have to nail moving everybody to it. There's just, to me, so many things that possibly could go wrong that needs to make sure they don't go wrong. It does start to feel like the quote live game of C4. I hope Q2, it'd be nice, but I don't know, kind of have to be very, past things, and the team's smaller. So I don't know, still very intrigued. Definitely after watching the video, it's like, oh no, this looks pretty cool. I could see it. It's definitely the next generation, but of course it's also that there's much more gameplay mechanics with the crafting habs and the flame stakes and the combat, council rank. So, again, there's a lot more than what I assume will build upon the current existing game mechanisms of mining and scanning and transport. Yeah, so hopefully. On another note, though, I did kind of think more, and with the changes in the staffing issues, is anything happening on UE5? Truly anything. Thinking back to previous years, there were people developing worlds. I haven't heard anything about any of those things in a while. But again, you lose the game director or product director. I don't remember his title. Sorry. We haven't got a release of it. So again, it seems like, again, I'm not opposed to focusing on just one game, especially if you consider C4 the game and Holosym the onboarding, get people interested because it's free to play. Those two things working together totally makes sense. But again, we've heard, staffing reductions, UE5, haven't heard anything. And again, that might be just a really good refocusing on just one product type of thing. So, and again, all of this is perfectly understandable as a result of having to lay off staff because of lack of revenue, which means you have to cut back resources. I mean, it totally makes sense. But again, we'll see. Yeah, so that's pretty much on that. On my journey playing Star Atlas, going through Sage, just been continuing to mine iron ore with my one miner. It's kind of seems to be a slow, so I haven't been doing much transport on that. Plus, I'm getting down on my Solana before I have to transfer some more over, so I'm not really in a total high priority to keep moving that. Partly to, paying more SOL means I just spent more money for, something. And so let the miner just be the one transaction that's eating it up. So, but anyways, so that's pretty much my thoughts and what I've been working on Star Atlas. So again, just to wrap up, again, Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Love to have anybody who wants to be a guest on the podcast. Please go to my website or reach out to me on Discord. Again, while you're on my website, intergalacticherald.com, you can definitely check out things that are there. Totally admit most of them are outdated because the game hasn't changed much, but it is there if you want to get involved with what's currently playable. At least older stuff. I haven't done any Holosim stuff. It just changes too frequently to, in my opinion, to justify video creation. Plus, they have their own internal tutorial, so not really. It's designed to be beginner friendly. So, and then if you want to check out my merch store, intergalacticgear.com. Again, I got some Star Atlas mugs. And Intergalactic Coalition, again, if you're interested in getting together with other Star Atlas gamer who aren't going to be joining guilds. So anyways, that's basically it for this past week in Star Atlas. Again, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Have a great week ahead.